Maven Nation, we won't create a more balanced lifestyle by wishing for it. We must be intentional to demand it. I invite you to move away from burnout, to move away from delaying your self-care and feeling guilty when you rest. Let's embark on a journey where holistic care, confidence building, and leadership unite. Maven, you are CPR, capable, prepared, and ready. Now, let's create success with sameness. Hey, Maven Nation, welcome back to another episode of Success with Sameness. How do you create a sanctuary at home? Listen, as high achieving women, we are out a lot, doing a lot of things between work and maybe you're volunteering for something, and children and partners and all of the things that we do. Sometimes it can feel like a whirlwind between meetings and decision making and being innovative and all of the things that we do. No complaints about that. That's what we enjoy. That's what we're created or built, I would say, to do. But you've heard me talk about in previous episodes about getting rest, making sure we're doing that. So creating your own sanctuary or tranquility space to make sure you're getting restoration. So here's the first thing that I want to share with you is designing your own personal space, your retreat space at home. So I have a question for you. What elements can you include in your personal retreat that give you a sense of peace and tranquility? Now, I'm not saying, again, that you need to go out and pay $20,000 for a bathroom remodel, to put a sauna in. Now, listen, if you can, do it. But I don't want you to confuse with what I'm wanting you to think about creating your own tranquil and retreat space at home, to associate that with only money. Maybe it's some candles. Maybe it's some candles. Maybe it's having a glass of a cup of hot tea, and you want to invest in a really nice tea maker, one that you can set to auto make or whatever you need. Again, I'm not talking about this space can only be done with some big ticket dollar item. Again, if that's in your budget and you want to do that, go be great. But don't discount creating a tranquil space for yourself just because this season of your life, when you're seeing this video or listening to this podcast, does not afford you a big budget to make these type of changes. Think about that. How can you make your bedroom more tranquil? What does that look like for you? Okay. Maybe it's new pillows. Maybe it's a new mattress. Uh, Nicer sheets. I don't know. Only you know the thing that is going to help you create a more tranquil space so that your home is your sanctuary. That home could be an apartment, whatever it looks like. That is your space. I want you to be intentional to think about it that way. Again, we're out and about doing a lot of things, being great for a lot of people. What about you? How do you get to come back home? Or even if you work from home, how do you get to retreat to a part of your home that you can simply take a deep breath and unwind? Okay. So give that some thought. How can I make whatever that space is more tranquil? A retreat space for myself. Okay. So that's number one. Number two is, how can you establish mindful routines? Okay, mindful. And here's what I want to say around mindfulness. Mindfulness is not just kind of this vision we see of us sitting still, eyes closed, and practicing meditation. that is a form of mindfulness, but that is not the only way to practice mindfulness. Maybe that's having a morning routine that allows you to not just pop up, get on your cell phone or on your computer and start working. Maybe that morning routine includes you having some quiet time, maybe some physical activity. My morning routine includes stretching in the morning, not necessarily my physical activity that time of day, but some form of stretching, just kind of warming this 50 something year old body up. Okay. So, what could that look like for you? If you're a person that does enjoy working out in the morning, then maybe that's part of your morning routine. But I want you to think of your morning routine as it relates to your sanctuary, you creating this haven for yourself of not getting up and jumping straight into work, immediately forcing your brain into decision making processes. Maybe it's just a gentle start to your day. And what does that gentleness really look like? Only you can define that for you. I'm giving you some ideas, some things to think about, some suggestions. But what does that look like for you? For me, it looks like starting with prayer, quiet time, some stretching. Oh, and my delightful cup of coffee. Of course, before I have the coffee, I have one glass of room temperature water. Get the system awake gently without throwing the caffeine in there. Okay. That's what my morning routine looks like. Am I successful at doing that every single morning? I am not. I am not. And I'm gentle with myself on that process. I don't beat myself up because I didn't get it done today. Now, I will be intentional to hit reset the next morning and get back on task. Or if at some point throughout the day, I'm like, man, why am I feeling so rushed and anxious? And it's like, oh, I skipped past my morning routine. And if in that moment, I can simply get still and just take some deep breaths and just allow myself to settle down, then I've still gotten some form of mindfulness. Okay. So what does that mindfulness look like to you? Be intentional, take some time to figure out what are the things that you can what can you put in your space to create your haven at home, your retreat, your tranquil space. And then what is that mindfulness morning routine, even evening routine going to look like for you? For me, my evening routine looks more like the boundaries around getting off technology, not taking my laptop from my office on the second floor down to the living space downstairs. I don't take it because if I take it, really I'm setting myself up to be on it, to keep working, right? And although I enjoy my work and the things that I do, we still have to set some boundaries about downtime, rest. Again, you'll keep hearing me emphasize that if you follow all of my episodes. We have to be intentional to allow ourselves as high performing, high achieving women to slow down. I call it downshifting, to come out of fifth gear into fourth gear, into third gear. And the entire world is going to be fine while you sit your cape to the side, sit your laptop to the side, sit your cell phone to the side, and be intentional about just time for you. So, whatever that looks like for me, that's around maybe five something when I finish working in my office and I head downstairs to start preparing dinner. I leave my laptop upstairs. That way, I'm not setting myself up for failure to say, oh, I'm just going to take it downstairs and, you know, surf the web, look on Amazon or Nordstrom.com. No, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to leave it where it is. Again, that way I'm removing a barrier that is going to entice me to keep, or I'm just going to reply to these three emails that I didn't get to, or I'm just going to finish this one. No, it can wait until the next day. Now, understand this about these routines that I'm talking about. Maybe you can't um, get to your routine every single day. Maybe there is a day that's going to require you to work a little later than you would normally work. Maybe on a day you do kind of stop. For me, my evening routine, I go make dinner and then I have to come back up to my office or something. I have a board meeting or there is something critical that I do need to get finished that day. I'm not talking about those type of instances. I'm talking about what are you consistently doing? If you're consistently working all evening, every evening, yeah, that's an indication that there is an opportunity to create more balance. Remember, we're talking about creating this haven, this sanctuary at home for yourself. So if you're constantly working, when are you going to get to enjoy the sanctuary? Okay. So again, I'm not talking about what you are doing here and there. I'm talking about what's consistent, what's part of your more frequent daily routine of doing that. Okay. Now, that's going to lead me to talk about the third and final thought that I want you to be thinking about on creating this haven at home, your sanctuary, is how do you create boundaries with technology at home to foster a more peaceful, restful environment. That's it. What can you do that allows you to set boundaries around technology to create this sanctuary? In the example that I just talked about earlier, is that getting off of your laptop and working at a certain time of day and being done for the day? Is that getting off of your cell phone by a certain time so that your brain can start to downshift, as I talk about? So when it's time to get in the bed and go to sleep, your brain has already had enough time to kind of cycle down off of all of the amazing things that you've been thinking about doing, solving, fixing throughout the day. Okay. You decide. You know what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And when we're thinking about these things, ladies, do what works for you. Again, I'm giving you suggestions, ideas, things to think about. But I'm not saying what necessarily works for me is 100% going to work for you. You know what works for you. You know what that's going to look like. And here it is. It's some of it's going to be, you've got to figure it out. If you've never set boundaries around getting off your laptop at a certain time, maybe, you are a person that's been taking your laptop to bed and you work until you just fall asleep. I'm going to ask you to stop doing that today. But what does that look like that now that you're not doing that? What is that evening routine going to look like? For me, about 8:30, I start my bath routine. I'm a bath person. I love to take a bath, not necessarily a shower. And that is a whole thing of taking my bath and relaxing and listening to music or watching something on my iPad, whatever that looks like. But it definitely doesn't include work, does not. Okay. But that's kind of my full unwind, relax, because when I get out of the tub, listen, about an hour later, now I'm ready to head to bed. Okay. And whatever that routine is. So maybe that doesn't work for you, but you've got to figure out what does work. And if whatever you select doesn't work, try something else. Or maybe it needs to be tweaked. Maybe it needs to be adjusted. Whatever that is. Maybe your bedtime routine includes a hot tea or wine. Whatever it looks like for you. Now, I'm not encouraging you necessarily to have a glass of wine every night, but I'm just saying, what does that look like for you to decide? Okay, here's what I'm going to try when I'm creating my sanctuary, my haven at home. Okay. And it's not just about how your sanctuary has to look a certain way. Aesthetics are important to me, but maybe they're not that important to you. But what works for you? Okay. Know that this haven, this retreat, this tranquility space in your home has to work for you. And if you don't know what that should look like, feel like, smell like, all of the things, just start with something. Start with testing it out so that you can create a place that allows you to recharge, reflect, and rejuvenate. All right. So, Maven Nation, thank you for joining me for this episode of Success with Saneness. And here's to creating peaceful and empowering, tranquil spaces right in our own homes. So, until next time, keep doing your band thing. Maven, thank you for tuning in. To accelerate your journey of success with saneness, download our free video series at myrashaw.com/3moves. That's the number 3 moves. It's 3 easy videos offering practical steps for your growth. Make sure to stay connected by joining our email list and leave us a review and a 5-star rating if you feel it's worthy over on Apple Podcasts. You'll find all of these links in the show notes. Again, thank you for listening, Maven, and be sure and join us for the next episode where we will continue our journey of creating success with saneness.